dependable forecast every single day. I take pride in everything the weather team does. You put us all together, very proud. Best team I've had in 38 years on TV, no question.
We start this hour with the wrath of Hurricane Matthew. Now downgraded to a Category 2 storm, it's making its way up the coast now after wreaking havoc in Florida. The hurricane is now being blamed for 4 deaths in the United States. At least 1 million people now without power. What remains in areas hit by Matthew? Flooding, scattered debris, fallen trees, damaged buildings. And the worst is yet to come for states like Georgia and South Carolina. And even after the storm, it's believed that some places are going to be uninhabitable for weeks or months to come. Now, we are live tonight in the hardest hit areas, but we begin our team coverage with meteorologist Steve Rudin and a look at the storm path update that just came in, Steve.
Absolutely, just came in about 1 minute ago, and the latest update is that the maximum winds are down just a tiny bit, down to 105 miles per hour, but still, it's a healthy storm out there with wind gusts at 125, still moving to the north at 12 miles per hour, and its impact across the Georgia coast and the South Carolina coast will be significant, even though it may not actually make landfall. Let's show you the latest track. This came in from the National Hurricane Center. The storm right now, a healthy storm as noted, and it's going to continue its track as we move through the overnight hours and into the day tomorrow. It's going to continue its track up the coast, and then it's going to take a shift more to the east, and it's going to weaken even further to a Category 1 hurricane with winds at just around 75 miles per hour. After that, it's going to take a turn even more to the south and then eventually toward the south and west. I'll show you that coming up in just a few minutes. Leon?
Now, Matthew packed winds up to 115 miles an hour. Hurricane Matthew now downgraded to a Category 2 storm, as we said earlier. But it's far from over. Jeff Goldberg is live now, and he's got an update on the storm's impact so far and also a look at what could lie ahead. Jeff.
Well, Leon, certainly a nervous night for a lot of folks in the southeast. Steve mentioned a moment ago the path of this storm of serious concern for people along the coasts of Georgia, South Carolina, after causing storm surges, flooding, and major power outages in northern Florida. Take a look at this video from earlier this evening. This is the northern coastal area of Florida, sort of near Jacksonville. Shows you the power of this storm. Look at all that damage, just remarkable. Now, of course, people in Savannah, Georgia, Charleston, South Carolina, those areas bracing for impact. Power outages everywhere. At times, the winds topping more than 100 miles per hour. More than 1 million people without power right now as a result of Matthew, and more than 2 million people were evacuated across the U.S. What you're looking at right now is Haiti. The death toll has been devastating there, with reports of nearly 850 fatalities after Matthew ravaged parts of that island nation. In the United States, meanwhile, people are doing all they can to ride out the storm safely.
This is going to hurt. We're trying to just reduce the amount of lives lost or harm done as much as we can.
We are very concerned about storm surge. We have seen flooding in St. Augustine, and there is potential for a significant flooding in Jacksonville tonight.
Now, Matthew is the most powerful storm to hit the United States in over a decade, but because it has remained off the coast, the destruction has thankfully not been as bad as some had predicted. But this continues to be a dangerous and costly storm, and it is certainly far from over. Leon, back to you.
All right, you got it, Jeff. Now, folks, Matthew packed winds of up to 115 miles per hour. That's enough to rip the roofs off buildings. And some of the most intense wind and flood damage is in Jacksonville, Florida. And as darkness falls there, things only got worse. Jonathan Elias is there.
Matthew never technically made landfall. These are the outer bands that we are still dealing with now. Very strong winds, very heavy rain. The problem for this house are obvious. The problem here is the tree just snapped, fell on the roof, and now they're leaking on the inside. So even at this hour, it's not the safest thing in the world. They're getting up on a ladder and they're trying to cut that tree in half and get it off the roof. That's a big job, tough one to do, especially under these conditions. That's not the only problem. If you look around this neighborhood, you notice something else. Lights aren't on. There's a reason for that. A lot of trees have been falling down and doing this. This is a power line right over here. Let me show you. That line right here, that line is down. A tree fell on this line. The story is the same in many neighborhoods across Florida tonight. Trees have been snapped, limbs have been snapped, falling on the lines go down, the power goes out. There are utility crews here all across the state. They're ready to get to work. They can't get to work until these conditions improve, until this storm finally moves on. When that happens, then it's safe for them to get their cherry pickers, get up on the lines, restring these lines and get the power back on. But when that's going to happen, at this point, is anyone's guess. In Jacksonville, Florida, I'm Jonathan Elias, ABC 7 News.
Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump is apologizing tonight after audio of a 2005 conversation between him and Billy Bush of Access Hollywood was obtained by the Washington Post. And during that lewd conversation, Trump is heard clearly talking about trying to have sex with a married woman and being able to grope women at will.
You know, I'm automatically attracted to beautiful. I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. You just kiss. I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab them by the you can do anything.
Now, Donald Trump released this comment on his website tonight saying, quote, "This was locker room banter.